Welcome, guys, to another Generation S podcast. I'm the host, Obo, here with Zach, Jake, and Luke. We're going to go ahead and get into some NBA topics, and we're going to talk about the depression story of Bradley Beal, because that man is sad. What are your all's thoughts?
I personally think that it is very depressing. He's the only player in NBA history to have two straight 50-point games and lose both of those games. It's just they're wasting his talent. He's got to get out of Washington. He's one of the top. He's second in points per game this year. He's averaging like 31.5 a game. He's tearing the league up. Nobody can do anything with him. But his next best player is Davis Bertans.
That's tough.
I mean, Davis Bertans did hit the Mountain Dew three-point shot, so he's probably the best player in the league.
I mean, he's just got too much talent to be staying in Washington. I think he signed like a stupid big deal with them, and I don't think there's any way he can get out of that contract. So he's just him and John Wall are both stuck in there, in that system, and it's just kind of a shame that they're stuck in that bad program.
Yeah, it is.
Honestly.
It is really sad because I mean, Bradley Beal's probably he might be the best shooting guard in the league right now.
He's an absolute
him and James Harden,
It's because this is what I know. I'll compare it to baseball. It's like having to watch Mike Trout play for the Angels for the last 5 years,
Yeah.
and like Mike Trout being the best player in the league, but Bradley Beal among the top, at least the top scorers and among the top players for sure, and then him not even being close to a contender. That's got to be tough.
Where do you guys think he should go if he leaves Washington?
He'd probably go to. I don't know if he'd go to a big market team. I feel like he'd go somewhere like maybe like team up with like Giannis and the Bucks.
I was thinking that.
Yeah,
Trey
that'd be
Middleton?
that'd be clutch.
Where do you think, Zach?
I mean, I think he can personally go to like a lot of teams. He's not one of those players that's like he's not a system guy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He's a modern NBA player. He's a 3-point shooter. He's a shooter. He's a scorer. He's like a Devin Booker, Kobe Bryant type
Nice.
player. He can score. He can score in every way. He's got athletic ability. He's got athletic ability, and he can shoot from everywhere on the court. So I don't think he really has like a specific like role for a team. I mean, he's not a system player, so I think he can fit anywhere that's not Washington.
I honestly think his play style would fit really well for Giannis. Spread the floor and get him in the. I mean, Giannis is always in the paint, but it'd help him out to be able to spread the floor with that shooter.
Right.
Yeah, true. I don't really know where else he would go, to be honest. But
I think you fit him about anywhere.
yeah, like Zach said.
Everybody's looking for shooters.
For the next topic, what do you think Kyrie's becoming a what if?
The reason that I reference this as a what if, it's because he's always hurt. He's out for the rest of the season again. This is the like so many times this has happened. He's hurt all the time. This is like he's becoming a Derrick Rose-esque because Derrick Rose in the NBA community is one of the biggest what ifs of all time, the youngest MVP ever, and it's starting to become that. When he plays, he's one of the most entertaining players in the league to watch. I don't think that's up for debate. He's revolutionized the ISO game in basketball, in my opinion. Like the way he dribbles and creates his own shot. He's one of the better dribblers, in my opinion, of all time. He's one of the most creative dribblers of all time to get himself open. And it's a shame to see him it's not his fault that he's hurt, but he's just too injury prone. I just don't think that it's just too much of a risk for teams to get him anymore. Because it's like Derrick Rose. He's been passed around the whole league now, and I think he's starting to become that.
Yeah, it's just when you can't be counting on that guy day in and day out to, build a team around. Even though I think he could be that guy, but if he can't play, almost every game in a season, then it doesn't help you when he's out all the time.
Yeah, because I mean, he's probably one of the most fun players to watch in the NBA.
For sure.
But what good is that gonna do if he's out for the rest of the season, most season?
Yeah, for sure.
He hasn't played 82 games ever. I'm looking at it. The most games he's played is 75, which is a lot of games, But like this year, he's only played 20, and then last year he played 67. The year before he played 60. He's putting up good numbers. Like 2018, he had 23, 5 and 6. But he's consistent, but he's consistently hurt too. So
Yeah.
it's like I don't know. And he's played for 3 teams now: Cavs, Celtics, and Nets. Did you all see where Vanessa Bryant is suing the helicopter company that killed everyone on it? rest in power, Kobe and everyone else.
I mean, it's understandable. I mean, it's more than likely that the helicopter. It wasn't. I mean, it obviously wasn't Kobe and them's fault that the helicopter crashed. I think they should.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know all the details behind what caused the crash or if it was a helicopter defect or something that the company looked over. But, like, somebody said to me today that, I mean, they're like, why is Vanessa Bryant suing this helicopter company when she has so many millions of dollars that she would never have to work another day in her life and live among the wealthiest people in the world? And I said, well, that's fine. You know, she doesn't need the money. But if the helicopter actually was the reason and the company could have done something about it, if she doesn't sue them, they might not change anything, right?
Right.
So it's not just about that money. I'm sure she doesn't need it, and she probably won't be looking for that specifically. More that they'll change something if that was the problem.
Yeah, she'd probably even, like, the money, if she does sue them and win, she'd probably even just donate it.
Yeah, I was gonna say she probably should donate it.
Because they have a big foundation. Is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Vanessa and Kobe Bryant Foundation or Kobe and Vanessa Bryant Foundation?
I will.
Something like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Zach about it because you got to think, if that was you, like, did that happen to your family, I'm definitely suing. I know that.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm trying to see if they. I know they definitely do have a foundation. Kobe and Vanessa Bryant Family Foundation.
Yeah.
I guess that's just what it's called. She would definitely just donate it, if I had to guess.
for sure.
One more topic that I want to talk about personally is the absolute dominance and rise of Jason Tatum this month.
It's insane.
He's
Yeah.
going absolutely insane. I think he's averaging 35 points a game in February and shooting high 60s from the three-point line. He's going insane. It's just crazy. I mean, there's always the he's only 20 thing. That was a big thing. That was a big thing when he was like a first-year, second-year player. And then last year he had a complete drop-off. Everybody thought he was a butt. Like, everybody thought he was just a flash in the pan. And now he's coming back, and we saw flashes of him do it in, like, the Eastern Conference Finals against LeBron, his rookie year. And now he's a solidified. He made the All-Star team this year. Now he's a solidified star in this league, and it's just fun to watch him play because he's an insane talent. He's Kevin Durant-esque in my opinion. I think he can be just as good as
I agree
that.
with
Bold words. I mean, accurate.
I think he's very similar play style.
For sure, but
Yeah.
He hasn't
it
scored.
is special.
He hasn't scored less than 25 points since, or he scored. What is it? 15 on February 11th, but every other time he scored 25 points this month. That's insane. All right, so let's go ahead and discuss some of the things happening in baseball. Do you all think the Angels should restrict Shohei Ohtani to pitching or hitting?
That's a really tough question. The thing about it is, he's good enough to do both for any team. If he just wanted to hit, he could do it for any team. If he just wanted to pitch, he could do it for any team, and he could do it effectively. Can he be at his full potential for both if he's doing both at the same time? I honestly don't think he can. Now, does it help the team more if he hits, 15 or 20 points lower, a couple less home runs, his ERA is 0.5 higher, but he gets to play every day? Maybe. I don't think he could do that, honestly. I think if he's a 280 and 20 guy, and whatever his ERA is, I think his ERA probably goes up a point and a half. I think his batting average probably goes down 50 points, 60 points. He hits 10 less home runs. You know what I mean? So, could they find a better pitcher to pitch what he can do if he's doing both? And they find a better hitter than he can do if he's doing both? Probably. I think they should restrict him to pitching, in my opinion.
Is he statistically better when it comes to pitching?
I think he has the potential to be one of the best pitchers in the league. I mean, his fastball is consistently hitting triple digits. He's got good stuff. His splitter's nasty. I mean, that's what you see a lot of times from people that come from Japan. First of all, they raise some great ball players over there. I mean, Ichiro is one of my favorite players of all time. But his stuff is really good. They focus so much on technique and on stuff like that. And for him to throw it 100 miles an hour with that, he could be a standout pitcher in the league.
What was he hitting last year? I can't really.
He was hitting. I have it pulled up actually. I was talking about. He hit 286 with 20 home runs.
I said 280 and 20. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good stats. How many RBIs did he have?
62.
I'm looking at his pitching stats and 63 strikeouts in 10 games.
That's solid.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally went to an Angels game, and I seen him hit, and he has like an Ichiro-esque swing. Because I'm pretty sure that's how they teach him how to hit in like Oriental countries that play baseball. And he's a really big guy, a lot of power, and that swing with that power can be lethal, in my opinion.
He's 6'4".
Yeah, he has such a natural just knack to hit, in my opinion. I personally think he would be a better hitter because if you get him more at bats, especially hitting behind Trout and Rendon this season, they have a lot of threats. They have a lot more threats this year on the base pads and stuff and in the lineup. So I personally think that he would be a better contributor to the squad with his bat. Personally.
Yeah, I mean it just depends on what the team needs because I think he could legitimately do both and be effective both ways. But it's just about what they need more. Do they need more of a good hitter, solid hitter? I mean, he's not going to be the best hitter in the league, but he's going to be in the top of the lineup, right? Or do they need an ace that can go out and get it done? And maybe he hits during the year and maybe take a day off and be a reliever for a day. And then when he gets to the playoffs, maybe he gets a start because that's what they need that day. I don't know. I mean, it's something that the front office will have to think about for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I can see him playing a lot more of a Michael Lorenzen role for the Reds. They stick him anywhere they need him. He's a relief guy. I don't think he started, but Shohei can obviously start. He started many games, but I can definitely see him bringing him out of the pen, sticking him anywhere in the outfield. DH. He DH'd a lot last season. And he's just a multi-tool guy, and that's just really key for especially a contender team. I'm not saying the Angels are going to be like instant contenders this year with Rendon, but I think that he's one of the key pieces to that team, and you can literally put him in any position, and that's something that I don't think there's really any other player in the game of baseball that you can do that with.
One thing that people like it'd be, I mean, the odds of it happening aren't great. But I think the Angels are a contender this year, and so it could happen, is if the Angels made it to the World Series, we could see 2 or 3 games, like if the first game was at the National League Park, they play no DH, so he could hit for himself as a pitcher, and we could see something pretty special in a series like that. If he got 2 starts in the National League Park, and he could hit, 3 home runs in a World Series for a pitcher, that'd be a record for sure.
Yeah, I say that, especially if they make it to the World Series, he has to be in the starting rotation because you have to have that bat.
Yeah.
Like even if he's not having stellar numbers at pitching, you have to have that bat. To have nine bats in the lineup is game changing in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, but that's the thing is he also has to pitch during the year to be able to do that. So even if that's an inning every 5 games, like he's in a rotation, but he only pitches an inning or 2 innings, just to keep his arm healthy for them. That'd be huge.
Yeah, he's definitely a generational player. Do y'all think Tim Tebow can be a serious major league prospect? Well, I don't really think he
Honestly,
will.
No.
I think
No.
this is the biggest gimmick I've ever seen in professional baseball.
I wish he could be, but
Honestly, this is the biggest joke to professional baseball since Will Ferrell went to all the spring training.
do not
Honestly,
disrespect Will
it's a
Ferrell.
joke.
Will Ferrell can do whatever he wants.
Now, listen, Tim Tebow is an above-average baseball player. Not every professional athlete could go do what he's doing. Definitely not everybody, like any average person, could do what he's doing in professional baseball. But I don't know how old he is. He's got to be close to 30.
He's
32.
Yeah, I think he's in his
Anybody
30s.
that's 32 years old and putting up the numbers that he is, would not even be given a shot, much less be in spring training where he'd be out of the league 100%.
Looking at his stats, I think this is definitely minors. Batting
He's AA.
in 29 notes. This is AAA for the Syracuse Mets. He batted in 77 games. He batted is 163. That's awful.
Chris Davis.
Yeah.
Hold the bat out, you might get lucky more than that.
Yeah, that's not good stats. His best batting average was 273, and that was in Double A for something. Yeah, go ahead. And,
In my opinion, it's just to sell minor league tickets, which is a lot of times difficult
yeah,
to
definitely.
do.
Right.
And spring training tickets. I mean, he's at spring training, I'm pretty sure. I just watched him hit his first ball opposite field. It was an impressive, and it's an impressive swing. But he doesn't even look like a baseball player. Like, if you watch him swing the bat and you watch anybody else, it doesn't look natural. I mean, it's not the same.
The only thing I have to say about this topic is there will never, ever in the history of professional sports be another Bo Jackson.
Honestly, that's one of a kind. Yeah, I agree.
There will never be another athlete on this planet that will be able to make an all-star team or be competitive at a high level that Bo Jackson did. Never, in my opinion.
I mean, that's,
Except Michael Jordan.
yeah. Hey, have you ever seen Space Jam where the catcher's like, "Hey, he's throwing a fastball"? That's actually what actually happened. I'm looking at this. It's kind of irrelevant, but he's 6'3" and he weighs 245. Tim Tebow, and I'm looking at his picture. It's kind of
He's
goofy.
probably jacked.
Yeah, it's probably jacked.
He used to be jacked when he was playing football, but I mean, he's big and he's powerful, but like you said, he hit like $170.
Yeah,
like, that's so bad.
It's trash. So the next topic is talking about how Altuve got hit in spring training and he got booed. Another one of their players got hit, and I think it's funny.
Yeah, Correa and Bregman also got plunked.
I think they've been hit like 6 times already.
It was yeah.
Actually, like,
I think it's 7 or I thought I saw 7 or 9. I can't
no,
remember the
I'm
exact
pretty
number.
sure Altuve's was incidental. Like he got like barely nicked. And usually when a major league pitcher's trying to hit you, he's gonna hit you and hit you flush. But either way, I think 6 it's pretty high.
How many
there's
games have they
way all
played?
Those are not that many. Less than 10, I would say.
It's also like it's just funny to see like all the crowd, trash cans everywhere, signs. Like I'd have a better sign, but the Astros stole it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like there's so many like the fans are so into this. I think I'm not saying this is a good thing for baseball, but for the atmosphere of baseball, there's the Astros are going to sell out every single game, away game in my opinion. Like they're going to sell out just so people can have fun like that. And I'm not saying it's a horrible thing for the sport, but for the fans, I personally think that it's just going to be it's going to be a really fun atmosphere for them.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go ahead and just say a quick shout out to Drew Burr because he got his first career hit.
Yeah, good stuff. I watched the video. I mean, solid piece of hitting.
Yeah, definitely.
Take the ball through the 5.5 hole. I mean, get his hands inside. It's a good piece. Congratulations to Drew.
How was it? Just like a single?
Yeah.
So you're like 450 dead center,
Third. Yeah.
straight homer.
Bat flip.
Was he like? Did he go in and play in the infield, or I know he's a pitcher?
think
I don't know.
Just pinch hit, I think.
Oh, pinch hit.
I think he actually may have gotten an inning or two at third, but yeah, I think that was a pinch hit.
All right, guys, let's go into the next topic, which we'll talk about football. Luke will probably know a little bit more than I will on this, but it's about the new collective bargaining agreement. Do you know what it is, Luke?
All right, so the CBA is the agreement between like the league and the owners and then the players and the Players Association. And it's about the money and then like drug policies and then the season structure. And if the two sides don't come together on it soon, then there will be no season next season because they can't play if there's no agreement between both sides.
Do you think there's any way that they won't make an agreement? Like,
No. Everything I've seen is saying they're getting closer.
do you think is there going to be a change to the season at all?
There will be a lot of changes. That is what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So, it's supposed to be this season, it's the upcoming season. It's 16 games, but there's 2 more teams in the postseason. And then the year after that, they're going to move it from 16 games regular season to 17 games. And then after that, I can't remember if it's either that season. I think it's the season after. They're going to throw in a bye week that replaces. It won't be at this time, but it will replace the 4th preseason game, so there'll only be 3 preseason games.
Gotcha.
Okay. Why are they adding 2 more teams to the postseason?
Honestly, probably just for money.
Yeah, honestly, revenue.
How are they going to
Postseason
decide
football.
who's going to be the other 2 teams?
I have no
Is
idea.
it like a wild card or something?
It'll probably just be another wild card spot. Just top 2 wild cards. or top, whatever.
Okay.
But also, one thing that I saw on the CBA that I thought was interesting was that there's a $1 million minimum salary by 2020,
Really?
by 2029.
Oh, by 2029.
So if you're in the NFL in 2029, $1 million.
Yeah.
So
that's actually
basically,
crazy.
I'm walking on to my college, playing football, going to the league, getting $1 million.
Is it? Oh, stop. Is it $1 million contract minimum or $1 million per year minimum?
Per year.
Okay.
That's
So
insane.
it can't be like 4 years, 250,000. It's got to be at least 1 year, 1 million.
Right, because it's salary. So.
Gotcha.
And then another thing I thought was interesting is that mandatory 3 days off after a Thursday game.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird. Have players been? I know JJ Watt's been complaining because I've seen the memes where it's like, why is JJ Watt complaining when he only plays 5 games anyways?
Yeah.
But are there any other players complaining about it?
Richard Sherman's not a fan, and he's on the NFLPA,
Yeah.
which, so I mean that's
I mean, if you do miss, like, I know you say they'll come to an agreement, and I'm sure that they will. But it has happened in other sports. I don't know if it's happened in football, but I know it happened in the NBA. I know it's happened in baseball, and it messed up a lot of stuff. I remember when King Griffey Jr. was on a tear and on pace to set the home run record, and they go on strike, and he doesn't get to play a lot of games. He ends up not hitting the record. So, I mean, that could mess up a lot if you miss, even just a week or 2 weeks. That could mess up a lot.
and I'm sure that they've noticed that, so they think it's not good for the sport if
Yeah.
if we only play 14 games and everything's
Right.
down.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, they don't want to miss those. The owners don't want to miss those games because it's people coming into their stadium.
Right.
Watching
sure.
their
Yeah,
games.
they won't make money if
Right.
they not.
Right. That's
Games.
millions of dollars that they lose.
Yeah. What do you all think about the Chicago Bears? How they're committed to Mitch Trubisky as a starter?
I would request a trade if I was on the Bears. Mr. Trubisky's awful.
I mean, the year was it his sophomore year or his rookie year where they went to the playoffs? I think it was his sophomore year. They were 12-4, and then last season they were 8-8. Which, I mean, 8-8 is not awful, but it's just gonna go a whole downward slope.
Right.
Like, isn't his O line awful too? I think his O line's really bad, but I mean, still, he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league.
That's the thing about football is, yeah, there's 22 guys on the team, but it's one of those sports where you almost can't win unless you have a good quarterback. You don't have to have a superstar quarterback if you have a great defense, good running back, good wide receivers, whatever. But you can't have a really bad quarterback and be a contender.
That's what
He does so much for the game that you have to have a good quarterback.
I feel like a good example would be like Jimmy Garoppolo. He's not like an amazing quarterback for the 49ers, but I mean, he does what he has to do. He threw like 26 touchdowns, which I mean isn't bad, but it's not amazing. I mean, whatever. I mean, he just was the coordinator for everything basically.
Right.
And whenever you see a drop off like that, I mean, sure it could just be a down year and it comes back, but since quarterback, I believe quarterback is the most important position in all professional sports.
Yeah, for sure.
So, if you see a decrease like that in 1 year, I mean, do you want that? Do you want a guy, even if he stays the same, do you want an 8-8 season?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, obviously that they're not in win now mode, obviously, but if they want to be, that's something they have to change. You can't win with a well below average quarterback.
Because they went to the playoffs the year before. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
that was the year their kicker missed and won
Yeah.
playoff games. They would have went to that.
Oh yeah.
They would have went to the NFC Championship game if he would have kicked.
So here's some of his stats. Last year for QBR, he was 28th in the league. Touchdown passes, 27th.
Yeah.
Passing yards, 21st. Yards gained per pass attempt, whopping 32nd. Traditional
32
quarterback
teams in the
rating,
league.
28th.
It's only 32 teams in the league.
Yeah,
He's literally dead last.
he's not getting the job done.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, especially if you're like a defensive player for that team, because they have like a top 2 and potentially best defense in the entire NFL, and you have those players and they're getting it done on their end, and then they're getting worn out throughout the season. Like the Bears progressively got worse throughout the season because their defense is overworked. It's the same thing with like the Broncos the past few years. Like
Thanks.
their offense is so terrible, and they just have. And the defense is amazing. They have so many good players on almost every single defensive position, but they're on the field 47 times a game.
Yeah.
They're
So-
taking more snaps than any other defense.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're
so-
taking they're out there so much more than every other defense. Even if they're good, they get wore out, and the wear and tear, especially in the game of football, is insane. So it's just, especially for defensive players, it's got to be frustrating to be on that roster right now with their offense being as bad as it is. It's got to be frustrating.
I'm definitely requesting a trade.
Imagine forcing a punt every time, and then it's like 3 and out. Okay, we gotta go back. Force a punt, 3 and out. Gotta go back, and you just gotta play defense the whole time.
That's awful.
Hope your kicker hits a field
And the
goal.
thing to me is, with this, there's plenty of good options
Mhm.
besides him to have. There's so many other quarterbacks that you could have besides a mediocre at best Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, like, I mean, if I'm the Bears, I'm drafting, like, a wideout or I'm drafting a quarterback. Like Jordan Love's on there, which I kind of hope the Colts get him. But Jordan Love, they can even draft Jake Fromm. They could sign Teddy Bridgewater. They could sign Philip Rivers, which even Philip Rivers was awful this year. I'd rather have Philip Rivers, who's at least experienced, than ever Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm the Bears, I'm going after Teddy Bridgewater,
Oh, yeah.
if he's only if I don't get Jordan Love, because I think Jordan Love's going to be absolute stud.
Yeah.
I definitely like Jordan Love. I think he's a great quarterback.
There's always the option of going weapons, like wide receivers, because this is a very stacked wide receiver class, and even a running back, and then doing the Jalen Hands option in the later rounds of the draft
Mm-hmm.
at quarterback, because he's gonna fall, I feel, to third, fourth, fifth round, and that's always an option for a team like that.
But one thing I'm thinking is, if this wide receiver class is so stacked, do you think one of them could fall, like second round, like and one of the better guys up top fall to the second round, and then you draft a quarterback, and get a wide receiver?
Yeah.
Because honestly, to me, I mean, I could definitely be wrong, but I don't think any amount of weapons is going to help Mitch Trubisky. I mean, if you can't throw it, you can't throw it.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if you have weapons, like, it's going to help a guy. If you have really talented receivers, it's going to help him. But at the end of the day, a guy is what he is. You're not going to build around, like, put 3 good wide receivers around him and make him be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Like, he's not just going to throw better because there's better receivers on his team. That'll help him. He'll throw for better yards and he'll throw more touchdowns, but it's still not going to make him a better quarterback. You're going to have to make a move.
Yeah. Speaking about quarterbacks and how there's some quarterbacks in the draft, let's talk about Joe Burrow's hands and how everyone's making an insane or a tremendous deal about it. So his hands are 9 inches. Just insane why people are making this a big deal.
Honestly, I think it's hilarious. I think it's the best thing ever.
This is actually just sports media having nothing else to talk about. So, like, his hands are kind of small.
Yeah, I saw. Didn't Joe Burrow tweet? He's like, "Guess I can't throw a football or something."
Yeah. Patrick Mahomes tweeted out, because his hands are like a quarter inch bigger, he said, "Don't worry," and then he added him on Twitter and said, "They said my hands were small too, and I think I'm doing pretty well right now."
Yeah.
Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl champion.
In my opinion, best quarterback in the league.
Lamar Jackson.
But there's plenty of quarterbacks with the exact same size hand. Like, Jared Goff has the exact same size hand.
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill, who, like, won playoff games, had the exact same size hand.
Baker Mayfield, who, I mean, he didn't have the best season this year, but he set the rookie record for touchdowns last season, and he's still a solid quarterback, has even smaller hands.
Yeah.
He has smaller hands than that. Like what?
Like, they said it's one of the smallest hands. His hand size is like that they've measured since they've been measuring it. His hands are very small.
The NFL size football is only an inch to an inch and a quarter bigger than the college football,
Yeah.
so it's not like that. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Like,
Given, like, it is different, like, it is bigger, but I don't think it's big enough to make a difference. Like, the majority of the time, it's not like you're throwing it 100 yards down the field anyway. So, I mean, if a guy makes good decisions and he makes the right passes, I mean, I don't think it matters that his hands are a little bit small, especially when they're not, like, that small compared to other quarterbacks that have had success.
I mean, because he's probably going to get drafted number 1 overall by the Bengals.
oh yeah, fact.
If I'm the Bengals, I'm saying, okay, here's an NFL football. Here you go. Throw it. And watch him throw it. Be like, okay, you can actually throw it. Okay.
Yeah.
As long
Take
as
it
he,
to the draft ceremony and give it to him in the crowd.
just say, hey, I just want to make sure that with your small hands you can actually throw it. Oh, you can? Oh, okay.
And with the first pick.
This is I kind of want to talk about this. Do you all think Joe Burrow's going to be better than Tua? I don't know. I don't think Joe Burrow. I don't know.
I think he'll be better over the long time because of Tua's injuries. Tua's had many injuries in his college football career, and I think that's just going to get back to him. I feel like Tua's just as talented when he plays. He had his QBR was like 99.
He didn't throw
Out of like his QBR rating out of 100 was like 99.7 this season in Alabama when he played. Like he was insane. Like he put up better numbers than Burrow at the start, and then he got hurt. I mean, granted, Burrow he has set the record for single season. He threw 60 touchdowns this season, but Tua was putting up better numbers all around than Burrow at one point in the season. So if he stays healthy, I feel like he can be just as good as Burrow personally.
I feel like if Tua stays healthy, he's going to be better than Burrow. I think he's a better pro prospect. I mean, Joe Burrow had one of the, if not the best, college seasons for a quarterback.
Mm.
But I feel like professionally, Tua would be it's going to be better if he's healthy.
That's one of the things, and I feel like some people don't talk about it enough, is durability is super important, especially in a sport like football where you only have, so many games. Like, there's very few games you get to actually play. It's not like you play 162 games like you do in baseball, and you can sit out 3 and it not matter any. Like, you have to be there week in and week out, and that's very important if you're trying to build around a guy.
And now, introducing us to a new segment, the man, the myth, and the legend, John Smoke Dog Henderson.
It's a pleasure to be here, guys. Thank you very much. Happy to be here. This week's segment's going to be a little interesting. This week we're going to have trivia. And so, with the first trivia question, I have to ask, who won the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship in 2014? And your options are A, UConn, B, Louisville, C, UCLA, and D, NC State. Zach, what are you thinking on that one?
I feel like, personally, I have to go with A, UConn.
Okay, I'm thinking. I feel like this was the year, and maybe I'm way off. This was too soon, but I remember one year UConn beat Kentucky out of the not out of the championship. Was it out of the championship? They beat them in a game in the tournament. Whenever it was the Harrisons and them, one year. I'm gonna go with UConn too. I'm gonna go A.
It's A, UConn.
It's definitely UConn.
And the correct answer is A, UConn. Great job, guys.
Was that the year was that the team that had Shabazz Napier?
Yeah, that was.
Oh, yeah.
That was,
Yeah.
that was their senior year.
That was the highest combined seeding in a national championship game.
It was like
7 and 8.
I thought it was like 8, 9.
That was 6th grade year. I remember because David Dean was like, wearing the Kentucky suit around national championship game. What a legend.
With the next question here, we're going to have which player has lost the most NBA Finals? A, LeBron James. B, Shaq. C, Bill Russell. D, Jerry West. Zach, what are you thinking on that one?
This is a tough one for me because you said you said lost NBA Finals, right?
Yes, they made it there, but they got clapped.
I mean, I think Jerry West, he only made it there a few times and didn't win. Like, he only made it, I think, 3-4 times. And LeBron's lost, I think, 5 or 6 at this point. And then Bill Russell's obviously known for his 11 rings. I mean, you can't make it there that many more times.
Yeah.
And then, what was the other option again?
Shaq.
Yeah, Shaq only made it. I'm pretty sure he never made it. Like, he made it every time and won every time, I think. So I'm going to have to go with LeBron James.
Yeah, so I was pretty confident at the beginning it was LeBron, and I started counting. I know he lost one against the Mavericks with the Heat. He lost against the Warriors. I'm pretty sure it's LeBron.
I think I'm going to go with LeBron as well.
I'm going with Jerry West because in the 60s and 50s, he went against Bill Russell like a bunch in the finals, right? Jerry West, right? Is that what you said?
Jerry West. Yeah,
Jerry
that's
West.
what it
Yeah,
was.
I'm going with Jerry West.
All right, so the correct answer is, with 8 times making it there and losing, Jerry West.
I'm so
Really?
smart.
I just didn't think he made it that many
I
times.
didn't either.
Hey,
LeBron.
I knew it was
LeBron was
between
number
him.
like 3 or 4. I think he lost
3 or
6
4.
times.
He's
So
on 6. He's 3
I just want you to go ahead and let them know I'm the smartest person on this planet. So
I mean that is a proven fact.
You're
Yeah,
also
Bubba.
sitting next to the guy that's got the answer. So
I
I'm
can't
not
see it. I
sure.
can't see it. I will scoot up.
All right. Here we go.
All right. With the next question, we're gonna have which college basketball men's program has the most NCAA championships? A. Kentucky. B. UCLA. C. Indiana. And D. Duke. Zach, what are you thinking on that one?
Imagine putting Indiana in there. There's nobody like Indiana. The last time Indiana was even relevant was like the 80s. I just had to
That's
throw that
fair.
in there.
That's fair.
So,
Mhm.
I mean, but the correct answer is UCLA.
What's up?
Yeah. I think they also. Is John Wooden still hold the single, like the record for the single coach? How many
He has
titles
like
the
10.
coach won?
He has
I think
10.
he won 10 or yeah. It's UCLA.
I actually helped teach him some.
It's UCLA.
I think it's
Pick Jerry
Kentucky.
West.
No, it's definitely UCLA.
The correct answer is B. UCLA. Great
There
job,
we go.
guys.
Hey.
And with
Yes,
the
sir.
with the last question, we're gonna have which player holds the record for most stolen bases in the MLB? A. Derek Jeter. B. Reggie Jackson. C. Ricky Henderson. And D. Lou Brock. Zach, what are you thinking on that one?
Hang on, wait. Let's let Owen and Luke go first. I think
No,
me
we
and
gotta
Zach
keep
are
the
pretty
same.
No,
We
no,
gotta keep the
I
same.
think me and
order.
Zach are
I
pretty
think we should have
confident.
held the same
how about,
order.
How about we go the opposite direction?
I feel like that's
Let's
a better.
let's go
Yeah,
the
I
opposite
feel
way
like
because
Owen-
I'm just saying whatever Zach says.
Ellen, go ahead. Yeah.
All right, will you say the options one more time because I only know one of those names.
Sports podcast, by the way.
Okay. I know.
He's the host. Cut him some slack.
Reggie Jackson. Who is?
Derek Jeter,
Oh, I know Derek Jeter. I know two.
Ricky Henderson,
It's Ricky Henderson.
and Lou Brock.
It's Ricky Henderson.
Lou Brock is actually fast though. He's,
I'm gonna go with Ricky Henderson as well.
Zach, you wanna go?
It is indeed Ricky Henderson.
I as soon as he asked the question, I remember watching the video of him sliding into second base, standing up, picking the base up out of the hole and holding it over his head
I've seen
for that Oakland Athletics, right? And so I knew as soon as you asked the question, it was Ricky Henderson.
With the correct answer being C. Ricky Henderson. I guess the name really suits the character there.
That's why I picked it.
Yeah.
That's why I picked it. Not even gonna lie.
And that's all the questions for this week.
Now here's Jake with some Instagram questions.
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody who sent in some questions because there's a lot of good ones on here. But we decided to pick 3 just to keep it in a certain time limit. The first question we have here from TK, Tristan Conkler, he asked about our NBA Finals predictions and the NCAA Championship predictions. Zach, you want to start us off?
For the NBA Finals, are we gonna do like winners, or are we gonna do just Finals matchups and the winners?
I say we do matchups in the winter.
Matchup and the
Yeah,
winners.
both.
I feel like it's the LA's
Okay.
versus the Bucks. I feel like it could be either the Clippers or the Lakers. Depends on the day. I personally feel like they're both really talented squads that if they all are on the same page I think that the West is theirs, and I think the Bucks are just going to absolutely dominate the East. I don't think there's really any competition, in my opinion. I think the Raptors are kind of coming on strong now, but I personally think the Bucks and either LA team is the finals matchup for the NBA, and I feel like one of the LAs will win, in my opinion. I feel like either LA that gets there will win because both of those teams have somebody that they can stick on Giannis. Clippers have 2. Lakers could have 2. I don't think LeBron can guard him 1v1, but I think Anthony Davis can guard him 1v1. And I think Paul George and Kawhi Leonard can both guard him somewhat.
Okay. I mean, nobody can guard him.
Yeah, I'm saying like
But
nobody can guard them, but
better
like
than
they can
anybody
contain
else.
them. Yes, they have. Those 2 teams have probably 3 of the 4 best options in the league to guard.
Because at the end of the day, if Giannis has 25, that's a win,
Yes.
right? Because
Yes.
I mean, he's special
best
Go
player
ahead,
in the NBA.
for sure.
And this is a tough one for me. The NCAA finals, I I honestly couldn't tell you. I really couldn't.
It's a toss.
This is literally one of the college basketball seasons where it's just a crapshoot in my opinion.
It'll
there's-
be a 16 seed.
Yeah, like literally, like no, there hasn't been a 1 seed that's lasted longer than like 3 weeks, and they just get picked off. Like I don't think there's a set. There's not a Duke.
Yeah.
There's not a Duke this year. There's not a powerhouse in my opinion. I think that every team's beatable. I mean, not every team's beatable, but like I think if you match up good teams, both teams are beatable. I don't think there's like a set winner. I mean, I could say basically any team. I could say Baylor. I could say Louisville. I could say Kentucky. I could say Dayton. Like I could say so many teams, and it's just I just don't really have an opinion on that personally because there's not a dominant. There's not a Duke. There's not like a last year's Duke team. There's not a 2012 Kentucky team. There's not a team that's like win it or not. Like they're they're in it to win it. Like this team's a lot better than most teams. There's none of that this year. That's my opinion on that.
John?
You know, to add on to what Zach said, I'm going to keep mine short and sweet here. Big LA fan. Shout out to the Lakers. My boy LeBron up there. He's making big moves. And, I think that with the matchup, I'd have to agree. One of the LA teams, but I'm going to have to favor LeBron and AD. They're making big plays out there. So I'd probably have to favor them versus, of course, the Bucks. Giannis, he's a big man. He's a little bit taller than me. For most of you who don't know on the podcast, I'm close to 6'5", so that's one thing to add on to that. But I'd probably have to say the Lakers and the Bucks, just personally. And then the NCAA. I have to add on to what Zach said there. He's definitely right. There's no real set team that can really just take it home, or that's really just above any other team, or just incredibly better. But I might have to say Michigan State, the Spartans. Great coach, Tom Izzo. He's doing great things up there. One of the best, rumored to be, some would say the best. Depends who you ask and on the day you ask.
Anyone else? Literally ask anybody, and they're going to say he's not.
Michigan State taking it home this year. And when it happens, and I fill out my bracket, and I win it all, and I win the $1 million, I will split it between everybody in the room. Bobo, you got anything to say?
I think for the NBA Finals, it's going to be Clippers Celtics. I think the Clippers will end up edging out the Lakers in the West, and then I think the Celtics are going to surprise everyone and beat the Bucks. I mean, honestly, it could be a Bucks or Celtics, but I just feel like the Celtics kind of will have the edge. I mean, talking about March Madness and NCAA, elaborating on what Zach said, there's literally no team that's any good, to be honest. Like, obviously there's some good teams, but no team has been solidified as the best team. There's been a lot of 1 seeds, a lot of different top 5s. If I had to say one, I'm definitely going to go with Kentucky. I'm a Kentucky fan. But I don't know. I'm really liking Dayton a lot. I can't remember. They have a player. I can't remember his name. Any of you remember his name? He's like number 1. He has a really weird name. He's an absolute baller. I feel like Dayton could do really well. Kentucky could do really well. And then maybe Auburn. I really like Auburn too. Even though they're SEC, I think Auburn could do well. Luke, what's your opinion?
For the NBA Finals, I agree with what you said with the Celtics. I think they could come out and surprise a lot of people. But what I think is going to happen, it's going to be Clippers-Bucks matchup, and then Clippers are just going to be too much to handle. And I think they're going to come home with a championship. For the NCAA, I mean, obviously there's no just outright best team in the country. I think Kentucky's a solid team. I think, they've gotten a lot better, I think, as the seasons went on. But, it could be Kansas, it could be Baylor. I don't think Baylor, but right now I'd have to either pick probably Kansas or Kentucky.
Are Kansas players not suspended? Did they not get suspended for that fight? No, I didn't know.
I personally don't think so. I don't think it was a whole season ban. I think for 1 or 2 it was, but I don't think it was it wasn't a malice at the ballot situation. It wasn't like half the roster got suspended.
Okay.
I never personally picked a winner. I would, if I did have to pick 1 or 2, I personally think it could be a Kentucky. I think it's Louisville or Kentucky.
Respectable.
I guess it's my turn. I want to start with the NBA because what I thought was going to be a resounding majority, I found that I'm going to be
alone on this one, but I think Bucks take the Eastern Conference Championship in 6 against the Celtics. I think Lakers in 7 against the Clippers. I just think LeBron James is there. He knows how to win it now. Whenever he lost to the Mavericks in the finals a few years back, that might have been 12 or 14. I can't remember.
11.
Was it 11?
It was 11.
Okay. I knew he wasn't there then because he was on a really good team, and that Mavericks team was good, but it wasn't what the Heat were that year. But now I think he's learned how to win, and he wants to. He wants to win those rings with the team he's got now. I think he'll last out the Clippers in that series. In the finals, Bucks and Lakers. I honestly don't think you can beat Giannis. I don't think there's a team in the league that's going to beat Giannis in a best-of-7 series. I think it'll be close. It'll be 6 or 7 games. But I don't think Anthony Davis is quick enough, and I don't think LeBron James is long enough to guard Giannis. So I think Bucks in 7 in the finals. As far as the NCAA, I agree with all you guys. There's no Kentucky 30-0 team that there was a few years back. There's no, Duke powerhouse teams that used to be. And honestly, I think we're getting past that era because there's so many good basketball teams and so many good basketball players that it's not like we just saw our first 16 seed beat the first 1 seed, right? Was that last year or the year before? I don't remember. But I mean, it's just teams, the caliber of teams, it's not blending. Like, they're still the best teams in the league and they're still the average, but there's always a chance for anybody to be anybody now. But I think maybe it's wishful thinking. I think the Kentucky Wildcats have a good chance to win this year, in my opinion. But obviously it's not. They're going to win 100%. I mean, it's going to be a tough tournament.
According to the AP Top 25, so like Kentucky is ranked 8th. Louisville is 11th. Bobo mentioned Auburn. They're 15th.
Where's Dayton?
Dayton's high. They're 4th. They're a solid team.
Where's Michigan State?
24.
Now, before anybody comments on that, I just want you all to know it's been a rough few games, but we are bouncing back. And
let it be
looking forward
noted
to
that they
season.
came up 2 spots this week.
The top 25.
Before you roast me in the comment section,
Please roast him in the comment section.
they will win the tournament.
Kansas is 1 and
I am a
Baylor's 2,
Tom
by
Izzo
the way.
fan. I am a Tom Izzo fan. That's fair.
Thank you again to Tristan Cocker for the question.
Shout out
Beautiful
shout out
question.
TK.
Shout out TK.
Even though you're an
TK
Ohio State
47.
fan, I can respect. That was a great question, TK.
The Ohio
Excellent.
State.
All right. And for the next question, coming to you from Xavier Ray, Old X-Ray says, what are your thoughts on the WNBA? Zach?
I personally think that it's a desperate times call for desperate needs measure for the WNBA. There isn't really much revenue coming in for that brand anymore. I think that they have to do any means necessary to get that brand back on the map. There has to be a way to get more viewers, and because they're running out of money in the organization, they have to add a 4-point line, and they have to even lower the rims. Even though that sounds kind of weird, but they have to do something to get more excitement in the league because there's just not many viewers watching anymore. And I think that it can potentially just go away.
I definitely agree with that. There's just, like you said, there's no money in the WNBA at all. Like, I mean, if there was money, then obviously, pay them. But I just feel like you said, there just needs to be something added. Not like a gimmick, but just to grab more viewers and to get more money.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, honestly, you can call it a gimmick if you want, but you have to come up with something special. Because it's not just going to be like, add a minute to each quarter and that's going to get a bunch of people to come in. You're going to have to do something different. And like I talked about, or like Zach mentioned, lowering the rims, that people want to see dunks. Like when they come to watch basketball games, especially in the NBA at higher levels, college, they want to see people dunk the basketball. And it just doesn't happen in the WNBA. Like, it has happened, that's not what I'm saying, but it just doesn't happen on a regular basis. So that's something that they can look into. I don't think lowering the rims is a solution, though. I think people will get. We are getting more athletic as a whole, not just women, but men and women, and everybody are getting more athletic as a whole as we learn more about how to do it, the training, the nutrition, and all that. So I think more women will eventually be able to show off that athleticism, be able to dunk it. Not that they're not athletic now, because they are. I mean, they could come in here and beat Owen all the time. I mean, they're just so much better than him, and they're so much better than so many guys. It's not that they're extremely talented. But I think bringing in the long ball, 4-point line, I think that's their best shot, in my opinion.
My opinion on the WNBA is, they're players. Like, they can play.
Yeah.
Like, they all can flat out play. There's a reason they're in the league.
Yeah.
But how can people watch them when it's barely televised?
Yeah.
And people always say they need to be paid more. There's, like we've all said, there's just not enough money coming in. I think this is a league issue. This isn't like this needs to be handled by the league, the people in charge of the WNBA. Redo the logo. Have the team switch their colors. Something. Get people excited. Because, I mean, how many people know more than like 4 WNBA teams?
Right. I don't. Sparks. I know Sparks.
Fever.
Chicago
Sky.
Atlanta Dream, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you gotta think how many people can you point out in the hallway that know 4 NBA teams?
Oh yeah, that's yeah. I just think it's insane because like the WNBA, like it's hardly known. Like some people don't even know what it is.
Well, but not just that, but just women's sports have been so underappreciated because I've seen so many extremely talented, volleyball players, and I think it's fun to watch them, like, when they get so high and spike the ball.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually impressive. I could not do that. I've tried, I promise. But I've seen some extremely talented softball players. I mean, stuff that I couldn't do, obviously. But it's just not, like, I don't think there's a professional softball league. I don't think there's a professional volleyball. I mean, I'm sure there's somewhere people get paid to do it, but it's just not, like, it's not televised nationally and all over places. You do see some WNBA games televised, but it's just, it doesn't bring in the viewership that other sports do. So something has to be done. I'm not sure what it is, but I think it should be because I think those people deserve to be shown off because they're extremely talented. So I think, I'm not going to say the best question, definitely the deepest question asked by Cameron Ritchie. He says, basically, long story short, should the GOAT discussion have more to do with statistics or with record? Should it have more to do with points per game, batting average, the passing touchdowns, or should it have more to do with championship rings, winning percentage, playoff wins, stuff like that? Zach?
I mean, as soon as, like, stuff like accolades and, like, stats come into mind for GOAT Talk, first thing, I'm a basketball head, Bill Russell. That's always what comes to my mind because he has 11 championships, but he averaged 18 points a game, and I mean, yeah, he averaged like 18 rebounds, but that's like, I mean, he's seen to many like of people from the older generations as the best of all time, just because he's a winner. I mean, I'm not saying his basketball skills, obviously. He is one of the best to ever play the game, but he's not the best to play the game. Just because he won 11 times, and like basketball just wasn't really, like, especially back then, it just wasn't really as big as what it is now. And I just don't think it's as big as an accomplishment as winning a ring in nowadays NBA.
Yeah.
And that's kind of overlooked. They just see 11 rings and they're like, wow, 11 rings. But then like they don't put in perspective everything else. But I think it should be a mixture, in my opinion. I really don't think that you can do both because it falls into too many. I think that the GOAT should be both. If you have both, then like Brady and Jordan,
Yeah.
like there should be a mixture of those because that's what truly defines. If you're putting up the numbers and you're winning, that should be how it's. It shouldn't be you're winning, thus in Bill Russell's case, or Robert Ory's case. Robert Ory has 7 championship rings, but his career average is like 9 points a game. So, like, there's people like that, and there's people that's got stupid numbers like Karl Malone, Allen Iverson, Charles Barkley, 0 rings. Can't help it that they're on a bad team. They can't help that. But they were just as talented as like Wilt Chamberlain. I personally think Wilt Chamberlain's a top 5 NBA player in my opinion. Wilt Chamberlain only won 1 or 2, I think. But he has some of the most ridiculous numbers that are in my opinion, never going to be broken ever in the game of basketball. And he isn't even, just because he won 2 rings, they're like, nah, he didn't win. And that was the Bill Russell era. And Wilt Chamberlain had a bunch of rinky dinks playing with him. And the Celtics were the only team, you can look at rosters too. The Celtics were the only team in the 60s when they won all them rings, in the early 70s, that had a complete squad. Everybody else had one player. They had a Dr. J, they had a Wilt Chamberlain, and then they had a bunch of AHS alumni playing around them. Like, they had the goons playing with them.
Terrific Tom.
Yeah, like they had a bunch of goons playing with them. So that's not really, I just don't really think you can, it has to be a mixture of both. That is a solid question of whether, like, it should be one or the other, but I think it has to be both, in my opinion.
Yeah. If I could play on something Zach said basketball wasn't as big when Bill Russell played, and that's true in the sense he was saying it. But in another way, not everybody had a 7-footer when Bill Russell was playing. Now everybody has aside from whoever's like Draymond Green playing the 5 with the Warriors or whatever. Almost
Tucker,
everyone has a
the Rockets.
7-footer, like tons, probably 30 in the league, even if they're not a starter. But then him averaging 18 rebounds is impressive, but when you think about it, if he's going against 6'8" guys and he's 7 feet tall, it's not as big of an accolade. But at the same time, you have to look at their ability to win when you think about if they're the greatest of all time. And I've always been that way, and that's why I've always thought that Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player to ever play. At least right now. LeBron James it's insane how he's still so good. Like, he's still one of the best players in the league. And the other thing is, to contradict myself, Mike Trout is 100% the best player of my generation so far, and one of the best players of all time, and he can't win because he's playing with the Angels. That's not his fault. I mean, he literally can't do anything about it, especially in a sport like that. You can't just have one guy. Basketball, it's even easier a little bit to have just one superstar to build the team around because you play, 5 guys at a time. Obviously, you have your bench, but it takes both. You have to have the stats and you have to be able to win. But I mean, in my opinion, winning is probably more important.
I'm definitely more of a stats guy, to be honest. I feel like if it's a little close, then it's like, oh well, he won more rings than him. But I'm definitely going over stats over winning. I know, like, some people definitely.
Well, you're a Kobe fan.
Yeah, I am a Kobe
Rest
fan.
in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Rest
to
in
Kobe.
power.
But I am definitely a Kobe fan. And for the longest time, I thought he was the greatest basketball player of all time. But that's just, I mean, I've now realized it's probably not true. I think LeBron is. If you say LeBron's the best, then you're going to get everyone saying, oh, he's lost in the finals a bunch. You know what I mean? He's not a winner. I definitely think it's stats. Oh, it's stats over winning determines who the GOAT is.
I'm just looking at, like, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain stats. If you're going stats guy, Wilt Chamberlain is the greatest basketball player of all time. If you're going just stats, this is career averages, by the way. Career averages, 30 points per game, 23 rebounds. Career average, 23 rebounds. That's for 20 seasons in the NBA. 22 seasons in the NBA. 22 rebounds, 30 points. They didn't have a block stat back then. Probably averaged 48 of those.
Yeah, why didn't they have a block stat?
They started it. I don't know. It just wasn't really a stat.
You also weren't allowed to dunk the ball for a little
Yeah.
while he was playing.
Yeah.
The only thing, see, I don't consider Will the GOAT just because, like you said about the height of players too.
Mhm.
Like, Wilt Chamberlain was
Yeah.
7'1". The next tallest player, Bill Russell, was only like 6'10", 6'9". I'm saying only, but other than that, there wasn't like anyone that was that tall. Like, so that's why, I mean, I don't think he would put, I mean, obviously it's a what if. You know, we don't know, but I don't think he'd put up those numbers in today's NBA. That's why I don't think he's the GOAT. Because that's the only exception I have for my opinion on stats over rings.
To me, it has to be a balance because, I mean, it just has to be a balance. But it's got to be more winning over stats.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's a 60-40 towards winning.
I agree.
Yeah, it's definitely a difficult question. It's one that you have to ponder about for a while. But the more I think about it and the more I sat on it and hearing everybody else say what they have to say, I think that it comes down to when you're an exceptional player, you find a way to win. And I'm going to have to simply say winning over stats. That's just my personal belief there.
So, I'm the black sheep.
Yeah.
Okay. It's okay.
All right. I guess at this time, we can announce our winner of our giveaway. So here we go. We're going to see. Make sure Luke gets a video here. And the winner is Ashlyn Satterwhite.
Ashlyn Satterwhite.
It's official. Ashlyn
official.
Satterwhite.
Ashlyn Satterwhite gets a free T-shirt.
Congratulations, Ashley.
Shout out to Ashley.
Congrats to Ashlyn Satterwhite.
Thank you, by the way, for everybody who entered the giveaway.
Mhm.
We greatly appreciate it.
And there's still an opportunity if you want to get a shirt. Talk to one of the cast members, and we will make sure you get the info you need.
Facts. Also, shout out to everyone that's subscribed to the YouTube and watched the video. It's insane how many people have watched it.
Yeah, support's awesome. Thank
Much
you
love to
guys.
everybody.
Yeah, much love.
Coming from Smoke Dog Henderson here, folks. I just want to say I love the fans. I appreciate
He
all you
does
do
love
for
the
us. See me in the hallway, dap me up sometime. I'm always free to talk to you. Happy to be here, guys. Thank you.
One like equals one more time. John can come back to the podcast.
Facts. won't
Please
leave
like
us.
the video.
We out.
We out here.